Yeah, like I have practiced what you said, like all the workflows
Mm-hmm.
you have created, same thing.
Okay. Do you have any doubt, or we can go move forward?
Yeah, more forward, just
Okay. Here, so till yesterday we have covered how to calculate the total in subform and the total amount this order form, right? Then we introduce a new column, status. But the status column, it need not to be displayed in the front. It not need to be displayed in the front end, right? So we have to hide this column as well as sorry, excuse me, we have to define some predefined values. Means that whenever an order placed, the status should be new. The first status should be new. So we are here, can you see in the uh, properties, can you see the next to the value there is a radio button, right? So if you enable this, so means that it's a predefined value. So whenever you refresh this page and do think, the new will be assigned automatically for status. As well as we have hide the status column, right? So we have to write a workflow to hide this. So what we have to do is on load of the form, we have to write a hide function. So hide status. That's it. If you want to show any field based on some condition, you have to write like this. So status. But now we want to hide it, right? So it's hide status. Um, Now it's hidden from the front end. Okay. So today I'm going to teach you the update functionality. So I'm going to teach you how to update the data in another form through Deluge. Okay. So the thing was, whenever user orders something, whenever user order a product A or product B, okay, in the product form we have a inventory, right? So whenever user order something from product B, we have to remove that quantity from the inventory. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, let's say B is ordering product A, quantity is 2. So when I submit this, the inventory amount for the product should be reduced by 2. So the product A is 10, right? So if I submit this, 8 should get updated here. Okay, so let's do that. So where you wanna write this workflow is on success of order form. Okay. So if you see here, you can see where what are the workflow you have written, where it will give you. Okay, so we don't have anything in on success. So let me create a new workflow. Created successful form submission. In on success, first, whatever it is in any language, if you want to write, if you want to update something in a table, then you have to find that row, right? In which row you want to update. So for that, we have to write code to find which product you want to update. Okay, let's say update product. Like this is the this is the variable name, but it's where you can define anything. Okay, update product, in which form you want to update the product form. The relationship between the relationship between product and order is what we have a lookup, right? The product name is a lookup, but the product name is in subform. So what we have to do, right? If it is subform, we will always needs to write for each rec in input dot subform. Okay. So this is the variable product. How you want to do this condition? Since it's a lookup, we have mentioned ID column. The right hand side, select dot product. Okay. Then what we have to do is update product dot which field you want to update, the inventory field. Okay, what you want to update? Update product dot inventory. We need to remove the quantity which is ordered from the current form. Okay, so you have to understand this logic first. The thing is, in which form you are going to update, you have to define it here, and the condition, based on which condition you are going to update. Okay, so you have to know which product you are going to update, right? For that, we are writing this condition. Mm. Since we have a relationship as a lookup field, we are defining the ID column here. Okay, ID is equal to um, the rec dot product. Rec dot product is nothing but this one, the product which you are choosing in the order form. Okay. So then we are going to, which field you are going to update needs to define here, and then what value you want to update, you have to define here. Okay. You can write something like this also, or you can define it in, let's say, actual value. This is also a variable. Actual value, you can update the actual value here. Okay. Do you have any doubt?
Yeah, no, ma'am, continue.
Okay. If I submit this, then the product A should, the inventory value should get updated as 8. Okay. So it's updated as as 8. Okay. This, so now you should know how to update the data into another form. Okay. The main thing is you have to define the correct you have to define correct condition here actually. Okay. So what we can do again is, when the inventory value reach 5 or below 5, we can trigger a notification to admin saying that this product reached its threshold value. So, you have to pile up your increase your inventory for this products. Okay, this is the thing which we are going to learn next. Okay, so what we can do is we have to write, let's say, notification. Okay, what we can do is, if the actual value hmm, less than equal to 5, then you have to send a notification. In the Deluge script, you can see, it will give you all the things in the left hand side itself. If you want, if you don't need to worry about the syntax and everything. If you want to write for each, you can track the for each. It will give you the for each syntax and everything. Okay, but try to learn it as much you can, I'm saying. Okay. So if we want to send email, right? So the send email function is here. If I track inside, it will give you the send email thing. So from where you wanna trigger Zoho.admin user ID. 1 minute, okay, 1 minute. So the two also Zoho.admin user ID. Do also Zoho. If you want any specific email ID, you can define it. But I'm just okay. I don't want to send it to. We can send it to anybody. Okay, I'll send it to my personal email ID here. Subject product limit notification. You can define anything something here, and then here you can define something limit reached. For which product you can define it here, limit reached for rec dot product dot product dot name. Okay, so for this product the limit is reached. Okay, let's say now we'll order something. 8 is there, right? So we'll order 3 or 4. So if I submit what it is, it's reached to 4. I should get an email, right? I don't have email in this system, but let me check. 1 minute. See the notification reached limit reached for product A. Okay. We got the notification, right? So if you want to trigger any notification, you have to use the same email option. Okay. Do you have any doubt, both of you, or it's fine?
Yeah, it's fine, ma'am.
Okay. So now the inventory we have orders, we have the same way. How we were triggering the limit notification the same way when an order is tried to place. Okay, when you are trying to place an order, which means when you're trying to place an order for product A, you have to check whether the inventory is available or not. If it's not available, then you have to give an alert here the product is not available. Okay, so what you have to do is when user selects the product from the product list, you have to check whether that product is available in our inventory or not. If it's not available, you have to give an alert saying that product is not available. So we have to write that workflow in on user input of product. Okay, here we can check if you have to check row dot product is less than equal, sorry, product inventory less than equal row dot. No, you should not. Sorry, it's my bad. You should not write this in product on user input. You should write this in
Order.
quantity on user input. Okay. because when you input the quantity only you can check, right? Less than row dot quantity. Okay, then you have to give an alert saying that inventory is not available, is not available, and revert back the row dot quantity is equal to null. You have to check this row dot quantity greater than equal, sorry, greater than 0. Okay, let's try. Question 5. Okay, the below one, because I'm making it null, right? So the below one is giving null error. So I'm just assigning, for now I'm just assigning to 0. The inventory is not available, and then the column value is assigning back to 0. You guys are following me, right? Are you comfortable in writing the code? Vivek and Pavin?
Yeah,
Yeah,
ma'am,
ma'am.
confirm.
Okay, so you can follow, right? How no the update and fetch is very important, because without that we cannot develop an application, right? So you have to learn how to fetch the data from another application based on which condition you want to fetch. That you should be you should understand that, and then how to update a record into another form. That is also an important thing. So I just covered the basic thing here, but once we move on we may get no bigger tasks, but to teach you the I taught you update logic and fetch logic also. So can you guys write fetch and update for tomorrow? If I give any task, can you try and come back? Because this is
Yeah,
the
ma'am. Yeah.
base. This is the base for Zoho creator actually. So I don't want to rush anything. You have to understand the fetch and update logic perfectly actually. So can I explain you some task now, and then can you try it today?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah, sure.
okay. So what you have to do is, let's say you are creating okay, let's say you are creating application for inventory management or order management itself. Fine, for me it's fine. But what you have to do is, when, okay, first I have to include the fetch logic, then the update logic, right? Give me a minute. Let me think any real time scenario. Mm. Okay, let's say you are creating application for schools. Okay, so first you have to create a subject master. Then you have to create form for student. Okay. Then you create the third form called mark. Okay. So you create a lookup field from student form to mark. The same way from subject, but subject should be in subform. Okay. If you input the mark greater than 50, then you have to display the result in another column. Let's say if you input the value as 50 or above, the next field it should be displayed pass. If it is less than 50, you should display fail. Can you do that?
Yeah, okay,
Did you
ma'am.
did you understand? But the
Yeah,
subject,
ma'am.
this should be in subform. Okay. If if that student fail any of the subject in the student master, you should update the value as fail, otherwise pass. Okay.
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
Can any one of you explain me what are you going to do tomorrow? What did you understand?
Yeah, like we have to create a subject form first, like enter the subjects,
Mm-hmm.
and another form like students, some multiple students,
Okay.
and we have to the subject form into student form as a sub form. We have to insert.
Not subject form. If you include subject form, then you cannot create any additional fields, right? Create another form and include that as a subform. Okay, but that form should have a lookup field from subject. Create four forms. Seven.
Yeah, one is subject and student mark another.
Another one is subform inside that mark.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
So okay. Do what? Okay, okay. This is the requirement, Pavan. Okay, you define whatever way you want. Okay,
Yeah,
I want a software for school where I can store my student data as well as subject data and their mark details. So I'll choose a student, then I need to create five subject against that student, and then I have to input mark for each subject. Okay. If that student is failed in any one of the subject, then the failed status should get updated in student database. If they're passed, then the pass should get updated in student database. That's it. You can create a number of forms in whichever way you want. Okay.
yeah, okay.
Okay, Vivek, you are also clear about the requirement, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So so you just try to do that, and then if you have any doubt, let me know. Okay. I don't want to go, you know, do everything in one go. You parallelly you also try. Okay. Now let's move on into our application order management. So what are all the things we have done? When the product is when the user select the product, we are checking the inventory, as well as when they submit the thing, we are updating the inventory. Okay, the next one is we'll move into validation. Okay, validation part. Okay, you should not allow user to type any the negative values in quantity, right? This is not going to happen. So you have to restrict the user to type any negative values in the quantity column. Okay. So what you have to do is if rec dot quantity, I think it's better to assign it to one because quantity should not be less. Rec dot quantity less than 0, then what you have to do is alert invalid quantity. Oops, sorry. Invalid quantity. Oh, the subform, right? So if it is less than 0, then we should say the quantity should not be 10 minus 7. Okay, the null value, right? So we should not assign, we should not give any null value. That's what they are saying. So always mark the quantity as row dot quantity. 1 minute, I'll leave him. I'll close the door for 1 minute. Row dot quantity is always 1. So if you define like this, you'll not get that null value. I'll teach you what is null and everything. Okay, so if I choose the product and give any value in minus, it's assigning back to 1 and then it says invalid quantity. Okay, the same way you have to, you should not allow the user to submit the data without selecting, without adding any data into subform. For that, what you have to do is you have to write a validation. So create a workflow, create or edit, validation on form, on validate. We have to check the number of rows. Okay. This can be achieved in multiple ways, but I want to teach you the very basic value. Okay. Very basic value. Number of row is equal to 0. So for each in input dot subform, then what you have to do is number of row is equal to number of row plus 1. What will happen is if you have, let's say if you have 2 rows, then the for each will run for 2 times. So the number of row will give you the number of rows, right? So it will increment it by 1. So the result will be 2 if you have 2 rows. The result will be 5 if you have 5 rows. So if it is 0, then there is no data in the subform. Then you have to stop the user. Please select product details. And then you can stop the user. Okay. So if you go and reload this, then if I try to submit, see, it will not allow you to submit until you select the product. So if you select 2 rows, if you select 1, then it will allow, it's submitted. So you can write n number of validations. You have to write it in on validate. Okay. So you can write it here like, the user should not submit the data without selecting quantity. You can do all those validation. You can make this as mandatory and everything. And then you can define some threshold value for order form. If the order value less than 500, you can write a validation. Like if always make sure, okay, let's say if the user says the value, let's say the client says the order value should be greater than 1000. Okay, that time, what you have to do, right? What you have to do is you have to write a validation. If the total amount is less than 1,000, you should not allow the user to submit this form. You have to write a validation for that. Okay. Tomorrow you are going to create that student software for school, right? Try to do n number of validation. Think as a user and try to write the validation in your projects too. Okay.
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
Okay. So tomorrow I will teach you about this delete, how to write a delete code here. Okay. We learned update today, but it seems like a simple one, but we have learned update as well as the validations today. So update is very important. You have to practice update logic a lot, because here we have updated with single condition, but when you move into real time application, you have to write the update logic with multiple condition. Okay. So when we move forward, I'll teach, but you have to learn how to write this condition. This is very important actually. You have to understand why we are using ID, why we are matching ID with product. Everything you should know. That will come only when you do practice on your own. Okay, so try to do that thing tomorrow. Even you don't need to complete it by tomorrow, but try to do the thing, what are all the things we have learned till now. If you have any doubt, ask me. Otherwise, we'll continue with the delete logic tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any doubt till now? You don't have, because when I was started this, I had a lot of doubt. You don't have anything for now?
Yeah, I think we have just started now, so I think we may get
Okay.
doubts from tomorrow onwards,
Oh,
I think.
yeah, yeah. Try to do as much you can. Okay. If you
Yeah,
have any
okay.
doubt and everything, just ping me in the team. I'll be available. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Shreya is not joining nowadays.
Yeah, she was not there in previous class as well, I think.
Do you know why?